no music. Here we go.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news in the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 8:30 or 9 tonight. We know that the fights are on, and we're going to try to get you out of here before the main events and all that other good stuff. But today, we're going to talk about Beeb, your boy, Paulie Malignaggi, fought last night in the BKFC. How'd he do? We'll let you know. Alexander Usyk is now the mandatory WBO challenger for Andy Ruiz without even ever throwing a first punch at heavyweight. Not one punch, Beeb.
Wow.
Robert, what do you think of that? Not one punch. Not one. In his rank.
I don't agree with it. Yes, he dominated the cruiserweight division. He won all 4 belts, but in my opinion, you have to earn your stripes at heavyweight, and he has not had a heavyweight fight yet. I know he had one scheduled, but it got canceled. But for an organization to say, okay, you're the mandatory challenger for a heavyweight title, in my opinion, you have to earn that privilege, and I think
Agreed.
It sucks.
Agreed. All right, but first, we'll talk about that later, but first, we get started with DAZN. DAZN, another full weekend of fights on DAZN, and we had some good ones, man. This is the Golden Boy card. Andrew Cancio versus Alberto Machado for Cancio's WBA regular junior lightweight title. Cancio knocked out Machado again, this time in the 3rd round, to retain his WBA regular 130-pound title. Cancio, I tell you what, man, looked like he got wobbled in that first round. I thought he got touched up with some really good shots, but that actually seemed to wake him up, man. He looked good in there against Machado. He did some good body work and ultimately ended the fight with a left hook to the body. Looked like it hit him right on the liver. And that was enough to beat Machado in the 3rd round. Machado beat it looked like he beat the count, but they called it off. So, listen, man, that guy was in no position to continue anyway. So, I don't know, man. It didn't look good. Beeb, we were all kind of on the fence on whether Cancio could do this again.
Yeah.
I picked him to do it again. What were your thoughts on this fight when you saw it? I mean, Machado just looked awful.
Well, the thing with Machado is this fight kind of reminds me of Alexis Arguello versus Aaron Pryor. If you see how those fights played out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Machado has just a weird hand positioning. He keeps both of his hands like in the front of the center of his face, and he keeps them out there like about maybe 6 inches from his chin. So he can be hit with looping shots. And another thing too is the height difference too. Is Machado doesn't seem very comfortable punching down at Cancio and having to reach down for him, and Cancio just gets low and gets up underneath and just swarms Machado, and I think the pressure really gets to Machado. For some reason, he just can't fend Cancio off. That's just a bad style matchup for him, and this just confirmed it on Friday night that Cancio is just too much for him. As soon as Cancio gets inside, it's all she wrote. Machado can do some decent work when he keeps him at the end of the jab and at the end of the straight punches, but once Cancio gets in that crouch and makes himself a small target, that's when Machado has a really hard time getting his offense going, and it's just a different ball game. So he just can't handle Cancio on the inside, and that's one of Machado's flaws: the hand positioning and the ability to not be able to hold the zone on the inside. Now, those are the 2 key factors in this fight, I thought. And Cancio has a monster of a left hook too. He's got a monster of a left hook.
He's been knocked out now. Machado, I'm speaking of, has been knocked out twice now.
Yeah.
In consecutive fights.
Yeah.
by the same guy.
Yeah.
People on social media were saying, hey, he needs to move up in weight. I know Steve Kim had mentioned that. Montero had mentioned that. Machado needs to move up like now. I agree with that. But after being knocked out twice like that in brutal fashion, I mean, those were brutal knockouts.
Yeah.
And he got knocked out with a body shot and everything. I mean, clearly I think this is something that could help him, but is he, and I guess time will tell, will he be the same after these two fights?
Psychologically, this is a blow. Because he's
big one, right?
Yeah, these are bad knockouts. These are bad knockouts. And I'll tell you, that body shot really damaged him, and it kind of looked like he didn't want it. It kind of looked like he was saying to himself, I don't know if I want to get back up after this one.
Well, and he got up, just at the count. That referee hit 10. He was up, it looked like. And that was it.
Yeah.
You could tell in his face he didn't
well,
want
that's what I'm saying.
I think that's what the referee
exactly.
was
That's what I'm trying to say. He had a deflated look on his face, like,
sure,
what the fuck is this all about, So...
yeah, it wasn't good, man. But, hey, congrats to Cancio. And he works a second job, doesn't he? This is like his main job. He's got like a job.
Yeah, he works a construction job.
He's going back.
A construction job, Eric.
He's going back to work Monday morning. just like you and me.
I know, yeah, right? And remember Joe Smith? Joe Smith does the same thing,
Yep.
Where he was working a regular job. But it's weird to see like these guys as champions working regular jobs like that.
That's why I start pulling the hair out of my head when I hear these fucking people on YouTube and these people on social media tell me guys are overpaid. These guys don't make enough, man. I don't get what it...
you're talking about less than 1% of the boxers out there making that kind of money. Crazy.
Absolutely.
Money. These guys on the shows, the local shows that you had in your hometowns and stuff like that, they're not making
nothing.
Money, man.
No health insurance, no benefits, nothing.
No. And I think the promoter may cover the cost if they have to go to the hospital due to the event.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like they don't have any health coverage or anything like that.
What happens when
not an easy living.
What happens when they break a rib in sparring or break a hand in sparring or something in training? That's on.
You ain't getting paid.
That's on them.
Yeah, you ain't getting.
They have no insurance, while they're training either.
Yeah, if they're lucky enough, maybe they have a spouse who has insurance or something like that.
Yeah,
and, they can go from there. But
Eric,
that's a rough racket.
Eric, I read an article where he has to take vacation days for training purposes. He doesn't use his vacation days for vacation days. He builds them up so he can use his vacation days for training to get ready for fights. And everybody that works with him, they always show up at all of his fights. That's why he always fights around the Southern California area, so all his people that he works with can all go to the fights.
Right. It's good that he's supported there, and I bet his employer and stuff, I imagine puts a fair amount behind him. I'm sure they're probably fairly understanding, especially with the amount of success he's had. Because, the other thing is too, is if he hadn't had that kind of success, I'm pretty sure the employer wouldn't be that, that excited about this whole endeavor. So
that's right. Yeah.
All right, let's move ahead. Angel Acosta in the co-main event. Angel Acosta versus Elwin Soto for Acosta's WBO junior flyweight title. Soto won via TKO in the 12th over Angel Acosta. The win was not without controversy, though. Mainly that this fight was just stopped way too early. Acosta was wobbled with a combination, and in the 12th round, the ref stepped in and stopped the fight. Just came in and waved it off. I'm not sure what in the world that guy was thinking. Completely bad stoppage. It was just awful. And my guess is they will have an immediate rematch. That was, and I believe I wasn't scoring the fight, but it looked to me like Acosta was winning this fight at the time of that stoppage. So for them to stop it so easy, I don't know. That wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. Just a bad look. Just a real bad look for him, man. Not good. Both guys looked okay. I mean, like I said, Acosta looked good up until he got clipped in the 12th round. And you don't want to ever win, to me anyway, you don't want to win the fight like that. You want it to be decisive. And you can say, well, I knocked him out. That's decisive. Yes and no. You don't want to stop prematurely like that. You want to leave no doubt. So, I don't know. All right, Beeb, help me out with this name again. Is it Koivula?
Koivula. Koivula.
All right. So also on DAZN, Conor Benn versus Jussi Koivula. 10 rounds welterweights. Conor Benn improves to 15-0 with 10 knockouts after stopping Jussi Koivula in the second round. I actually gave Koivula the first round here, man. I thought he was able to clip Benn a couple of times.
Yeah.
To me, just did better work, man. All that, though, changed in the second round when Benn floored him with a left hand. Koivula was game. He got up, went right back down, got up again, and the fight was stopped after a little action. Benn is 15-0 now with 10 knockouts. He looks the part. He's in shape. Beeb, what are your thoughts on Conor Benn?
He looked a little ragged in there to me, a little off balance with his footwork. He reminds me of his dad a little bit, but his dad just seemed, even though his dad was unorthodox and he had a wide stance, he just seemed like he had his feet underneath him more. Whereas Benn sometimes looks like, sometimes his upper body gets ahead of his feet, and he seems like he's like lunges a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a problem as he moves up, I think. And he has that wide stance too. So the problem with that wide stance is it takes you a long time to get yourself into position when you want to move, because you can't move subtly. Everything is a big step because your feet are so wide apart, and that's a disadvantage to you because your opponent can pick up on that. So the transitioning from offense to defense and defense to offense is tough with a wide stance like that. So. I don't know. He's dynamic, definitely can punch, has a fan-friendly style, but I think as the competition gets better and he gets in there with more crafty guys, he's going to struggle, in my opinion. He's going to struggle.
Well, he's had one where he's already struggled, where he was knocked down a couple of times, I think, and he's had some rough fights, and, he's still young enough.
Yeah.
That they can, and who is his dad? I don't believe is training him.
No,
right?
I didn't see his dad in the corner.
Nigel's not training him, right?
I think his dad. His dad manages him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they really ought to look to possibly get this guy some different skills, and he's young enough that you can see flaws in him, and he's young enough to have those flaws correct.
Possibly, yeah.
That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the route I would go with him, is trying to correct those flaws and not let him just rely on this power he's got there. Because, listen, he doesn't land that shot in the second round. What happens in that fight? I don't know.
Yeah, he looked a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, he didn't look good. He didn't look overly good.
No.
But, the silver lining is he did land that shot. And he did get him out of there in 2 rounds, and it's probably what he was supposed to do. That being said, he's not always going to land that shot, and that's what they need to focus on.
Yeah.
Making him more of a complete fighter.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to lunge in like that and be successful against a seasoned pro who's gonna take that half step back and catch you coming in and countering you. That's the thing.
No way. No, he would have trouble if he stepped up in class. He would have a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Talk about this one here, man. Ted Cheeseman versus Kieran Conway. 10 rounds for Cheeseman's British Junior middleweight title. Very controversial decision in this one, man, as Ted Cheeseman and Kieran Conway fight to a draw. Scores were 115-114 for Cheeseman, 116-113 for Conway, and 114 all draw. Most observers had Cheeseman winning the fight fairly easily. Beeb, I believe you did.
Yeah, I had him.
Talk us through
I had
this.
Cheeseman winning 116-112. I thought he won the first 4, and I thought that he lost 5, 6, and 7, and he lost 9. And Cheeseman still doesn't impress me with his plodding type style. Just walks in there straight in with his hands held up high. nothing really sophisticated to his game. Seems to be one-dimensional and all that. He's in great shape. Don't get me wrong. And he has a lot of heart in there, and he tries. But I just don't think that he's ever going to be able to beat a slick boxer or a very schooled boxer who can move. Because even Conway was stepping around his shots a little bit in the middle rounds. And he was, landing some good looping shots around that high guard, those earmuffs that he likes to put up there. But, Ted Cheeseman just doesn't look very fast. He squares up, kind of just plods forward. And he just doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a lot of versatility to his game. And I think that's going to be a problem. Now, with that being said, he still won the fight, don't get me wrong, even though Conway had his moments in the middle rounds. I thought Conway won rounds 5, 6, 7, and I think I gave him 9 as well. So I had this 116 to 112 for Cheeseman, like I said. But when I watch the guy fight, it just doesn't look impressive to me. I say to myself, if you're not going to be able to beat everybody with pressure and will, and we saw that in his last fight. So
we saw that a couple of weeks ago with the Kid Galahad fight.
Yeah.
In Warrington.
Yeah.
Pressure and will doesn't always
win. So I don't think Cheeseman can ever be a slick fighter, but they could add little subtleties and little nuances to his game. Try to switch things up a little bit, Have him teach him how to give different looks on offense. Teach him how to throw feints. Teach him to be able to use a little bit of distance when he has to, and not have to always fight on the inside, because you need to develop an outside game too. Because if you can't catch the guy's got quicker feet than you, and you can't cut off the distance in there, then you're going to have to be able to hit him in range. You have to fight him on the outside at certain points. You can't fight a whole fight in the phone booth. You're just not going to be able to do that. So you got to be able to work on your long game too a little bit here, and I don't think he's done that. So that's going to be a problem for him. And his defense basically puts those earmuffs up, and that's it. So that I've never been a fan of those earmuff types of hand positioning, because once again, transitioning from offense to defense and defense to offense, you have to switch up your hand positioning again. And so you're always having to reset your hands because you're not in position to punch. And guys are going to see, once you start shuffling your hands around, hey, here comes the punch. So that's the problem, I think, with Ted Cheeseman. I hate to be too hard on him, because I respect the kid's heart, and I respect the fact that he's in good shape, and I'm sure he trains like a demon, but he's just not polished enough, and his offense is not versatile or sophisticated enough to be able to take it to that next level. And they're talking about pushing him to that next level, but now here's another setback because he faced another draw, which I thought was a bad decision. But I did not see any improvements, and I did not see anything that would lead me to believe that he could step his game up and beat a guy and be able to track down someone who's slick and who's elusive.
Yeah, I would agree. Beeb, let's circle back here for a minute. Krista Green in the chat says that Conor said his dad is too critical. That's why he doesn't like him training him. He doesn't like his dad training him, and I get that. I get that. Yeah. But I mean, listen, man, you're gonna have to take some criticism.
Yeah, boxers are very sensitive. They have big egos.
Yeah, like, dude, I mean, you're gonna have to take some criticism, and you could say, well, I knocked 10 people out. I've got 15-0. Listen, man, I mean, these guys are trying to give you the right advice, and maybe his dad is too hard on him, that's fine, but you need a coach that's going to be hard on you, too. He's not just going to, if your coach isn't really being critical of you, then you need to find a new coach, I think.
Yeah.
And besides, your dad had a hell of a career. You need to pay attention to what he's got to say.
I mean, you can't have yes men around you.
No, not at all.
And that was a problem with Tyson later in his career, because all he had was yes men around him.
I think that's the thing. That's the thing for sure. All right, let's talk about Showbox. All right, this was an odd one. All right. This is a very interesting guy here. So Sebastian Fundora is 154 pounds, and he's about 6'6". Now, how he fits that in a 154-pound frame, I'll never know. But Fundora wins by TKO here in the fourth as Zepeda's corner stopped the fight in between the rounds. There was a lot of hype with Fundora because he's, 154 pounds and 6'6". But honestly, I wasn't that impressed with him, man. He didn't really appear to fight that tall to me. Zepeda was tagging him. I don't understand why Zepeda didn't want to go on, but he didn't. I mean, so it is what it is. But yeah, man, I was really disappointed. I was really excited to see this guy, but I was really disappointed when I saw him. Robert, you caught this. Talk about it.
The trainer seemed to be very upset with Zepeda. And I think the trainer is the one that pulled the plug because he said in the corner, look, you're not doing anything that we trained for. You're scared of him. You're not doing anything. He said, I'm only going to give you one more round. And this was after the third round. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You've got to, I didn't see any way that Zepeda could have won because of the size disadvantage. But to be that difficult on your fighter after only 3 rounds, I was kind of flabbergasted by that. Here we talk about trainers, not caring about their fighters and sending them out there to take beatings and not stopping fights when they should. In this case, I think this guy stopped the fight too soon. He didn't even give his fighter a chance to make any kind of adjustments. I don't know if he could have made any kind of adjustments to, combat what was going on here, Eric, but I felt ripped off, and this is the second time I've seen Fundora fight, and I agree with you. The first time I seen him on a PBC card, I was impressed with him, but this time, I wasn't that impressed. I don't know what they're going to do here with. It's so weird to see a 6'6" guy weighing 154 pounds. It just, I'm still not used to that. So I'm not sure where he goes from here, but I think Showbox is a good place to have him, and hopefully we see him in there against somebody that can present more issues.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with him at all. And, for me to be that tall, and he just doesn't appear to me to have that great of a jab. He doesn't appear to me to have, I don't know, man. He's just, he's lacking in a lot of areas.
Well, like Rafael
the big draw is that he's
said,
6'6" and 154.
Like Rafael Marquez said, he's a 6'6" tall fighter who should be fighting on the outside and taking advantage of his size advantage. But he said, this guy wants to brawl. He wants to be like a little guy. And, I know a guy like Emmanuel Stewart would be screaming in his grave because he taught all the tall guys, look, you take advantage of your size, you use your jab, I watching this fight, I immediately thought of how Emmanuel Stewart would have handled this, and it's going to be interesting to see him going forward. But no, Friday I was not impressed.
No, take him in the gym and learn him a jab there. Teach him how to throw a jab.
Yeah.
See what happens. It was awful.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It is now time for the train wreck of the week. Elena, come on in here.
Chugga, 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 choo, choo.
All right, look at that. Very good, very good. All right, so our train wreck of the week, Paulie Malignaggi versus Artem Lobov, the bare knuckle fighting championship. Artem Lobov pulls the upset, wins a unanimous decision by the scores of 48-47 on all 3 cards. I had it 4 rounds to 1 for Lobov. Paulie didn't do much in this fight, man. He was really busted up, had a huge cut above his eye that I know needed stitches. After the fight, he claimed that he only got caught once. His face looked like hamburger. He said before the fight it would be the biggest mismatch of Lobov's career. He acted like he was miles ahead of everyone in the sport. Turns out he was wrong. In the press conference leading into this, he spit on Lobov, hit him with a microphone, insulted him numerous times. Lobov, just kind of sat there and just took it. He was just waiting his time. Malignaggi also was real condescending about the sport, that he was a boxer and that he was basically going to come in here and just whitewash this guy. And, quite honestly, that's what I expected too. But, that's not what happened. Lobov was just the aggressor throughout. Malignaggi, I don't know where his jab went. Wasn't present that night. He threw a right hand. He said he broke his hand at some point, I guess. Broke his left hand or right hand. I'm not sure which one. But, I think it was at the end of the fourth round, all the bad blood to me had kind of subsided because Paulie at the end of the round reached out, tagged Artem's hand to say good round. And so at that point, Artem definitely had his respect. I knew Paulie was done. It was just one of those things, man. He was, to me, it looked like he just could not pull the trigger anymore. It was just father time caught up with him because he looked like, he supposedly had all this time to train and everything, His big thing with the Conor, the Conor sparring session was, well, I didn't train, I just walked in there, I was out of shape, blah, blah, blah. He had no excuses here. So, yeah, man, turned out to be a big goat in this one, I have to tell you that. Beeb, what were your thoughts on the fight? I know you watched it. Beeb, Beeb did a live cast, did very well last night. It was great, man, and great job on that live cast last night. You did a great job.
Thank
you. What were your thoughts on this fight, man? And Paulie seemed to hang it up afterwards, but I think he actually had one fight too many. He should have never fought this fight.
I learned a lot about bare knuckle boxing, and one thing I did learn last night is it's very different from conventional boxing with gloves on. It's a whole different ball game. And I thought Paulie did win the fight, but I also said that it could have gone either way. Because I thought Paulie won the second and third rounds, and I thought the first round could have gone either way. I gave it to Paulie. So I thought Paulie edged it on my card, but I did say during the live cast that I don't know if Paulie won this because this was a close fight, and I could see the judges giving the first round to Lobov. But it came to be that the judges both gave all three of the judges, gave Paulie the first two rounds, and they had him losing the last three. So it didn't really matter. But either way, I thought it was a close fight. But that in itself is a loss for Paulie because it's not supposed to be a close fight with the way you talked. And you were thought to have had the better skills. But again, his type of skill set really isn't applicable to this type of fighting. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're able to grab and throw a guy into the ropes like that, and you can punch while you're in the clinch, and the referee's not going to break until there's no action, then that's not really conducive to Paulie's style. And not only that, you mentioned his jab, which I thought he did throw a lot of jabs, but that's not a good thing either because this style isn't really based on throwing a lot of jabs because the more punches you throw, sometimes more is less in this game of BKB because you don't want to keep throwing a jab out there and hitting a guy in the forearm or forehead and top of the head or whatever because again a jab, when you throw a jab, it has you twist your hips and you put your body behind it, but more so it's your fist shoulders most of the impact when you're throwing a jab, as opposed to a power punch when you're putting more hip and you're putting more of your buttocks into it. So there's less of an impact going onto your fist because you're putting more body behind it. So in boxing, the jab has the least amount of body behind it compared to the other punches. So why would you keep throwing a punch that's really gonna cause your hand to get bruised up and damaged, and then you won't be able to throw a hook with it or an uppercut with it? So again, Paulie broke his hand supposedly in the second round, and he just resorted to just throwing jabs. And at the end of the fight, he said his jab hand, which was his left hand, was swollen more than his right hand. So at the end of the day, Paulie could not fight this fight like he fought all the other fights in his career, based on the style. And I totally underestimated and disregarded to a degree how different this sport was. I thought Paulie could transcend his style into this sport and be successful with it. But when you can't throw your right hand, then you're basically a one-armed fighter. Whose fault is that? Well, again, you knew going in that you had problems with that right hand, so that's something that you had to consider before you accepted the fight. So that's on you. But at the end of the day, Paulie just didn't look good in there. I mean, he was being ragdolled a lot. He was being manhandled. And I don't think neither guy really landed solid punches where they staggered each other, where they buckled each other's knees. But Lobov did a great job of grabbing Paulie and punching and throwing body shots and uppercuts on the inside. And that's where those cuts came from. Now, if you looked after the fight, Lobov's face was kind of busted up as well. So this is a sport where you really can't look at the facial damage and say, well, look at this, look at that, because when you're punching someone bare knuckle, one or two punches, you can bust them open. So once again, more is less sometimes in this sport. So you got to make your punches count, and you have to really work on, setting up power shots in there, and, throw the jab as a measuring stick. But if you're going to use the jab as an offensive weapon, like you would in boxing, because the jab is a versatile weapon in boxing where you could use it for a defensive weapon, for an offensive weapon. You could use it for a rangefinder. You could use it as a rhythm breaker. In this sport, the jab should be used primarily as a rhythm breaker and a rangefinder, because if you're pumping a jab out there like this, like you would in a regular boxing match, that you're going to fuck that hand up. You can't throw volume in this sport. You have to get close. You're better off throwing body shots more so than head shots too, because that's soft tissue. Anything you can do to make sure you can have your hands in a state that you need them to be in order for you to finish the fight and be able to land significant punches. Because Paulie, with the style that he had, fucked his hands up early in the fight, and basically it cost him, because it was a different fight the last two rounds, and a lot of that was due to his hand damage. So he should have maybe had a different game plan going in. I don't think he really took this sport serious. I mean, the way he was talking about this sport and applying boxing, like regular boxing skills, to this sport, and thinking that it was going to be a huge advantage. And I must confess, I thought the same thing. But now that after watching a full card of this is supposed to be a hybrid. It's supposed to be the in-between boxing and MMA. But in my opinion, this type of fighting still favors the MMA guy more so than the boxer. Certain boxers would do well in it. Marcos Maidana would do awesome in this. I think I'm going to say something very controversial and bring the hate, bring the fucking pitchforks, and throw the darts at the Beeb right now. If Floyd Mayweather fought Marcos Maidana with these rules, he would lose. And that's the best boxer of this era. If he fought in BKB using these rules, he would lose. And possibly right now, if he fought Conor McGregor using these rules, at this stage of his career, being out of the ring and being old like this, if he came back and tried to do this and maybe fought Conor McGregor in there, he'd probably lose too under these rules, because his style would be horrible. Imagine Floyd Mayweather with no gloves on, trying to catch and shoot with an open hand. He'd have a horrible time. So I would favor Conor McGregor in BKB over Floyd Mayweather. That's the fight that they should make. So the classic traditional skilled boxer isn't going to be able to carry his skills over to this and be successful, in my opinion. I think you need a brawler type. You need That's why Bobby Gunn was so good at this. And then when he fought, you know, when he fought with conventional boxing rules with gloves on, he wasn't as good. So this is night and day. It's night and day, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I tell you. What you know? What's funny about this is that's what made me realize that this was a different sport. When we talked to Bobby Gunn, and I went back and looked at his record prior to him fighting Roy Jones, I went back and looked there, and he has fought everybody, every top name in his division that you could possibly think of. He's fought them, and he's come up on the short end, but he's been in there with them, and he's been competitive and all this. Out in the street, he's got 100. What was it? Over 100 fights. He's unbeaten. Unbeaten.
And I'm humbling myself right now because I couldn't have been more wrong about this. I even went as far as saying if I had $100,000, I was willing to take $100,000 out of the Beeb Industry Trust Fund and put it on Paulie Malignaggi until Lois took it and hid it somewhere, and I couldn't do it. And I could have cut Beeb Industries' wealth in half.
She put the 100,000 in the box you put her in at night.
Stop
so
it,
there you go.
please. but I have to humble myself and say I learned a lot about this sport last night watching a card from start to finish.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining card, you know. But I told you that Paulie was going to have trouble.
You absolutely did.
And that Lobov was gonna manhandle him in those clinches because Lobov has the jiu-jitsu experience. He has got the wrestling and the MMA. It's a different kind of strength, man. If you have not trained in that before, or if you've not been, experienced with wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything like that, and when you go in there and somebody grabs you, it's a different feeling, man. You don't know it's a weird feeling because you're going to get manhandled, and it's just a question of how much. And if you're not trained and know what to do, it's it's going to be downhill for you.
And the odd thing about this whole fight was Paulie gave him a lot of respect during and after the fight, and for him to think that he won this fight going away, I mean this fight was close in my opinion. And you had it wide. That's fine.
I had it wide, but
that's fine. Yeah. But in my honest opinion, and if you go back and watch the live cast, like I said, I thought it could have gone either way. One point either way. So for him to think he won this fight going away, I just didn't see it like that. And after all the trash he talked, and everyone talks trash before a fight, we know this.
He was very classless.
Yeah.
Paulie was
but
really
again,
classless.
like he was disrespectful to the sport. That he was like if you're when you take a shit on, and then after the fight when he said, "Oh, well, my friends, people in the boxing world told me I'm better than this." What a condescending thing to say. So in other words, if you're so much better than this, and you're so many levels above everyone that's doing this, even if you were to win this fight by 1 point, which I had you winning on my card, that's still a loss. Based upon your commentary and your opinion before the fight.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Yeah, because you were supposed to go in there and manhandle this guy. I mean, this fight wasn't supposed to be close. He wasn't supposed to lay a glove on you. You know? No. Yeah, it was just it was insane. Robert, I know you didn't catch this fight, but just hearing what we have to say and everything like that, what are your thoughts on this when you hear about stuff like this and about the Lobov fight going in?
Yeah, I've always thought because we've talked about this before, I thought that this was a major mistake for Paulie Malignaggi to do because you got to look at his actual boxing career. He only had 7 knockouts in all of his fights. And I would think in order for you to be a successful bare-knuckle fighter, I think you have to have a lot more than 7 knockouts. Beeb said it. Marcos Maidana would be quite successful at this. Julian Jackson could be quite successful at doing something, people that actually had power in their hands. And Paulie has always had bad hands. And according to what I've heard, he's very well off financially. So obviously he didn't need the money. So I've never understood the motivation behind all this anyway. I mean, he makes a good living from Showtime. He apparently does a lot of work for Sky Sports in the UK. I don't see the whole point of him sacrificing himself to do this. I thought it was pointless, useless. And now he's got more broken hand problems to deal with, which means when Showtime has their next fight card next week, I'd be very surprised if he's there.
Well, his face is pretty banged up too. I mean, he's got some big cuts on it and everything. But that was the thing with everybody was saying, well, he doesn't need money. Why is he doing this? Well, how do we know he doesn't need money? I mean, because it is an odd situation. I think he was trying to, if he would have just thought about this logically, because what they were trying to do was draw McGregor in there for a bare knuckle fight. That's what ultimately they wanted to do. And the thing is, man, I mean, McGregor would have killed him. I mean, I think it's pretty clear who won that sparring session now. McGregor would have killed him, But the other thing is, too, McGregor signed up to a UFC deal. UFC is not going to co-promote with anybody. If they would have co-promoted with anybody, it would have been for Fedor, back in the day with Fedor and Randy Couture. That was that big fight. And they couldn't make that happen because they wanted that co-promotion with the Russian company. They weren't going to do it. So why on earth would they co-promote with BKB or BKFC now? They wouldn't. That fight's not going to happen. It would have not happened.
It's a different situation than the Floyd Mayweather thing because there would. I mean, I don't know though. Maybe they would have though because I think the storyline could have generated a lot of interest in the fight, and I think the event would have done well financially. Where Dana White might say, why not co-promote with this guy? I think they could have done something, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know. I think Paulie's taken one too many punches.
I
thought this was a bad idea from the very beginning.
I think the reason why Paulie took this because I don't think he needs the money at all. I mean they say he's worth about $5 million. I don't know how accurate that is, but he's got a clothing line. He's got he's got a lot of commentating gigs. Usually when a guy is doing bad financially, you hear about it. You hear about this guy's having tax problems, that guy's having tax problems, he filed for bankruptcy, whatever. And we never really heard anything like that with Paulie. And Paulie stayed retired for almost 3 years. So if he was having money problems, we would have known about it. He would have probably made a comeback, which he didn't do. I think Paulie looked at this as a money grab. He thought it was an easy fight. Thought I'm going to get paid a good amount of money for 10 minutes of work against a guy that I think I'm miles ahead of skill-wise. Sort of like what Floyd did with Tension. He thought he was going to do that with Lobov. And it just wasn't.
That's what he thought that fight was
going to be. So he thought this was a money grab, easy money, because like he said, I may not need money, but I like money. I mean, so if they're going to pay him a decent amount of money to do this for 10 minutes worth of work, then why not? But at the end of the day, it just didn't make sense because now you have a broken hand. Now you're like what did you think was going to come of this? You had to understand that if you're breaking your hands with gloves, how you're not going to break your hands without gloves.
Right. Exisco in the chat says Paulie was just trying to reel in McGregor, and he failed big time. And he's right. That's what he was trying to do, and that was. I don't think there was any secret. That's what he was trying to do here, for sure.
Or this could be another case where a boxer can't walk away from the limelight.
And here's the thing too that we forget to mention, and I'm sure you know this as well. When you have no gloves on, and you're in a clinch, these guys are grabbing you with their hands.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different element. You got a guy grabbing you by the shoulders and pulling you into them like this. You can't do that with gloves as effectively.
You got guys. I mean, and they're very separate sports. I mean, just because you're Just because you go to Abu Dhabi and win the world championships over there in jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you can go to the UFC and just tear it up. They're completely different sports. And people say, well, he's got jiu-jitsu, he can, blah, blah, blah. Listen, man, when you get grabbed and you get thrown to the floor, in jiu-jitsu, you can't hit back. In MMA or a street fight, you can hit back. You can hit him on the ground. When you're getting punched in the face, that changes a lot of things. You know? And the same thing here. When you're boxing, they break you up and everything, and you're fighting, it's all fist. And listen, man, when you get in the clinch and you get bullied around there, man, and you're not used to feeling that kind of strength and that kind of leverage and everything, it messes with you.
Yeah, you got to have some type of grapple. And even Paulie said he was concerned about the clinches. But
why didn't he train for it? It didn't look like he trained.
He said he trained with Ray Longo, but I think he just totally didn't take this serious enough. But even if he did take this serious enough, he still didn't have the skill set or the physicality to be able to be successful at this.
No, because Lobov has been doing this for years.
Yeah.
You know? So, all right, let's go to the callers. Area code 805. 805, you're live.
Hey, Nacho.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, man?
As far as nothing much. As far as the fight on Friday night, with the Cancio Machado fight, I thought that Machado looked like he was in a lot better shape for this fight than he was in the first one. And from everything I had read, it looked like he had no issues making weight this time, unlike the first fight. But to be honest, after the first round, you could pretty much tell that even though he made weight, his legs were just not there, because every time Cancio got close and was able to start hitting him, his legs were just shaking every single time he got hit to the body or he got hit clean to the head. And as soon as the fight kept playing out, anytime Cancio hit him, he hurt him, and Machado was unable to hit him with anything that Cancio had to actually respect from Machado. It seemed like Machado was throwing kind of like, pity pat defensive shots, trying to keep him off of him. But Cancio just walked through them and started hurting him. And then as soon as the second round happened, he started taking it to him, and he hurt him, and he wobbled him at the end, and he got saved by the bell. And then in the third round, he just went after him, and then when he hit him with that left hook to the body, that was just a beautiful left hook. And Machado just took a knee, and you could just see that the fight was gone from him at that point, because he wasn't. When he got up at 9 and the refs counted to 10, and he waved it off, Machado didn't even protest, so you knew that the fight had been, taken out of him at that point. So it was a really good win for Cancio. He gets to prove that, the first fight wasn't a fluke. And hopefully he gets, some paydays coming up. Maybe he gets the Kevin Farmer fight, or maybe he gets a rematch against Joseph Diaz at some point. As far as Machado is concerned, I think they need to move him up to 35 or maybe even 140, because he doesn't look like he belongs at 130 anymore at this point. The last two fights have proven that his days at 130 should be over, and he should be moving up for his next fight for sure. Maybe the extra weight will, help him be able to take a punch a lot better as, his career progresses forward. And then in the co-main...
Hey, Nacho, let me interrupt you for a minute. Do you think he's the same fighter now? He's been knocked out again twice in his last two fights. Same guy. If he moves up, will it even make a difference, or is he going to have a lot of problems moving forward?
I think it can make a difference, because, not having to cut that extra weight at the very end will definitely help him. But honestly, I think what they're going to have to do with him is they're going to have to bring him back slowly at 35, get him some, somewhat easy fights, get his confidence back up, and get him back in the win column. I wouldn't throw him in there against someone who's like an ex-contender or like a named fighter. I'd get him out there against a guy, who has been rounds and will give him a test and let him beat a couple guys like that and just kind of get him back in the win column and stuff. I mean, I think sometimes fight fans nowadays, they see a guy lose a couple times and then all of a sudden they want to throw them into the scrap heap. I don't think Machado's done. He's still relatively young. He's only like 28 years old, I think. So he's technically in his prime. I think he's still got a lot left. I just think he needs to, move up and get some wins, and maybe that'll help restore his confidence and eventually, get him back on the right track. As far as the co-main, I agree with you guys. That was a hell of a fight from the beginning all the way until that very controversial ending. I don't understand why he stepped in at the very end, because even though he hit him with that shot and he wobbled him and you could see he was clearly hurt, he was never at the point where like he was going to go down. I just felt like the referee jumped in too soon and didn't let Acosta try to fight his way out of it, because Acosta knew where he was at. Even when the referee stopped it, he looked at him and he was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you stopping it?" Like, he knew where he was at the entire time. Yeah, it was just a bad stoppage. And hopefully, hopefully they do a rematch and Acosta gets a chance to, get back in there against Soto.
They would have to, wouldn't they, though? I mean, wouldn't they have to do an immediate rematch after that nonsense?
You would hope that they had an immediate rematch clause in the contract in case this happened, because if they didn't, that's a terrible look on Acosta's team's part, if they didn't have a rematch clause just in case it happened. So, yeah. And then I don't know if you guys got to see it. I got to see the fight on the stream later on because I didn't get to see it live. Sergio Garcia, the guy that signed with Sergio Martinez, he went out there and he put on a hell of a performance against Radchenko, and he ended up defending his title, and he looked good, and he was able to do what he had to do. And
that guy looks pretty good. I've seen him before. He looks really good.
Yeah, hopefully they bring him here to the U.S. Sometime soon, because I think the guy can fight, and I think he can make some noise at 54. He can give some guys some problems for sure. And then with the whole bare knuckle box, oh my God, that was tough to watch. Paulie had no business being in there. You could see that he was a shell of his former self. And the crazy part was, like, I honestly thought that Paulie was winning that fight until the very end. Like, it was only the last couple of rounds that Lobov came on and just was really ultra aggressive and was able to tag Paulie and kind of hurt him. But I still thought that Paulie did enough to win that fight. So when they announced that Lobov had gotten the decision, I was totally shocked. I was like, wow, like, what the hell were these guys watching? And, I'm just glad that Paulie said after the fight that this was a one-off and that he's going back into the commentating booth because he doesn't belong out there. Like, you could see that his reflexes are gone and he's just not the same guy anymore. So hopefully he never sets foot in the ring or cage or whatever the hell again, because, he's going to get seriously hurt the next time he goes out there. He's lucky that he fought a guy on Lobov who has absolutely no boxing skills whatsoever. He's just kind of a rugged face-first brawler. So I'm glad that he's not going to step back in there again. And then as far as the fights tonight, I think that Charlo should do what he has to do against Cota. Cota has a decent record, but I've never really been impressed with who he is as a fighter. I think he's just a guy, and he might test him for a few rounds, but I think eventually Charlo, gets him out of there. And then with the other fight, I'm curious to see what the hell Redondo has left. I mean, he's 38, but he hasn't been very active the last few years. And Julio Ceja has. So it'll be interesting to see what the younger guy can do against the old vet who at one time was considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. But, man, I don't know what's happened with Redondo. Ever since he lost to Lomachenko, it's like nobody's been able to find him. He's been like on the back of a milk carton. So I definitely want to see what he has left going into this fight tonight. And, yeah, that's about it, guys.
And as far as Cancio Nacho, I read this morning that in one of the articles I read, De La Hoya said that he would be fighting Rene Alvarado in September. So we'll see if that happens.
Oh, yeah, because he's one of the mandatories for the multiple belts at 130. I forgot about that, Robbie. You're right. But Rene Alvarado, I think I've seen him lately, and honestly, I'll pick Cancio to stop him at this point. I don't think Alvarado has much left. I would pick Cancio to win that fight.
No, and people have always underestimated Cancio anyway, so I'm happy to see him get the success that he's gotten. And everybody figured the first one was a fluke, and I was glad to see the second one was more decisive. And now maybe he'll be given more respect and can actually get some paydays and can be a boxer on a full-time basis instead of working a real job.
Yeah, I mean, although he did tell a couple of reporters after the fight that he was going back to work on Monday, so
yep.
I'm curious to see how long he's going to keep working while trying to be a full-time fighter. Because eventually he's going to have to figure out a way to, be a full-time fighter. You can't do both.
Well, from what I understand, he told somebody that, hey, as soon as he starts getting big enough paychecks, he'll be glad to give up the one job, Yeah,
and hopefully now with these two wins, it made him a champion. Hopefully he does eventually start getting those paydays, Robbie. Because a guy like that, that's what you want to see, is a guy who actually worked his way up and earned it to actually start getting, those big paydays. So let's hope that he does.
Yep. Good call, Nacho, as always.
All right, thanks Nacho.
All right.
Thanks, Notch.
Notch. Notch. What's wrong with
I love that.
Hey, he's a good guy.
Thanks, Robbie.
Oh my goodness.
Robbie, how you doing today? Everything all right?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Beeb's checking up on
I'll
everything.
say hi to him, that's all.
Oh my god. Jason in the chat is asking why we're not doing a live fight cast for Charlo and Coda.
Because it's not worth it, man.
Because Fox is in 95% of the homes in America.
Right. That's the thing.
Who doesn't have Fox? Who doesn't have Fox?
Yeah, like when we do the Poly card last night, it was a pay-per-view. Nobody's, and a lot of people were kind of hesitant to order it because, I think a lot of people wanted to check it out, but a lot of people were hesitant to order it because it was, something they're not used to, that kind of thing, and they didn't know how it was going to go, so they could tune in here. Some of the DAZN fights the same way.
Fury Schwartz was on ESPN Plus. Not everyone has ESPN Plus.
Right. So if it's on like Showtime, we're not going to do a fight cast.
We've never done fights. We've never done fights on like fight casts for Showtime fights for
right. Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, because everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah.
And everybody has access to Fox, so it really wouldn't make sense to do a fight cast on it. You know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't.
Yeah, but Krista Green, the UK fans, what time is it over there? It's 8 o'clock over here, right? By the time the main event comes on, it'll be like what, 9? So it'll be like 2 o'clock.
It'd be yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those.
I don't know.
Things,
If enough, I'll do one. I would do one if enough of you guys ask for it. Yeah, if enough UK fans want us to do it, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
It's 159 in Ireland right now.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you guys in the chat that are UK listeners. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I can't believe you guys stay up and listen and listen to the show, man. I can't even tell you how much we appreciate
Really appreciate it.
all the support you
No,
guys give us,
that's
man.
awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I mean, if enough UK people want us to do it, I would do it.
Sure, absolutely. Hey, listen, they love the Galahad and whatchamacallit.
Warrington, yeah.
Warrington fight got big numbers.
That was fun too. That was
Somebody asked me in the chat. He said, can we get Claudia Trejos from ESPN? We could, but you guys don't watch the interviews, man. I mean, that really, like we work a lot. We work really hard. I mean, Beeb can attest to it too, how hard we work to bring people in and get interviews and stuff. And if you guys aren't going to watch them, then we're not going to post.
Eric does a lot of legwork trying to get those people in.
It's a lot, man. I mean, it really is a lot. I mean, you guys have no idea, like, what kind of hoops you have to jump through and everything like that just to talk to people and stuff, and the time stuff and everything. It's got to be we always operate on their timetable, so sometimes it's like now, sometimes it's next week. So I mean, but another all the interviews, they never really get like big numbers. They never really get watched. We've had some really good guys on here. So that is what it is.
Krista Green says that they can get Fox. You guys can get Fox in the UK with IPTV. I didn't know that.
There you go. There it is.
That's how big Fox is.
Yeah, they have PBC.
Fox is huge.
PBC signed a deal with him, Beeb.
No, IPTV has Fox.
Yeah, I know.
Not PBC signed a deal with ITV, not IPTV.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I got you. I got it now. All right.
So I guess they have access to Fox over there. I guess I don't know.
There it is. All right, let's talk about some of the upcoming fights here. We'll start with tonight. Jamal Charlo versus Jorge Cota, 12 rounds, junior middleweights. Harrison has been injured. And Jamal Charlo said that he was faking the injury. He's most certainly not faking the injury. Guillermo Rigondeaux on the undercard versus Julio Ceja. 12 rounds of WBC featherweight eliminator. How about he gets another shot at a title? How about that? Jesus. Joey Spencer versus Hakeem Black, 6 rounds, junior middleweights. And let's see what else we got here. June 28th, that's a great day, from Temecula,
Friday.
California. Friday on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. This is going to be a good one. Richard Kame versus Ray Beltran, 12 rounds for Kame's IBF lightweight title. That's going to be a good fight, man.
I think Kame
Carlos
wins
Adams.
that fight, by the way.
Carlos Adams versus Patrick Day, 10 rounds, junior middleweights. And Saul Rodriguez versus Miguel Angel Gonzalez, 10 rounds, junior lightweights. Junior Fa, the heavyweight, is also on the undercard against Dominic Gwynn. That should be a fun fight. Also Friday on ESPN Plus, O'Hara Davies versus Miguel Vasquez, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. Ryan Walsh versus Lewis Paulin, 12 rounds for Walsh's British featherweight title. Anthony Yiggett, also on the undercard, versus Sara Ozgul, junior welterweights. Also on DAZN from Milan on June 28th on Friday. Tons of fights on Friday. Francisco Patera versus Paul Hyland Jr., 12 rounds for Patera's European lightweight title. Also on Friday, I'm telling you, there's tons. Mayweather Promotions on Facebook. So you can go to Mayweather Promotions page on Facebook and catch these fights. Angelo Leo versus Mark John Yap, 10 rounds, junior featherweights. On second thought, maybe you won't want to go there. Let's see here. What else? What else is on TV? All right, June 29th from Houston on Showtime, Saturday. Jamal Charlo versus Brandon Adams, 12 rounds. Friend of the show, Brandon Adams. 12 rounds for Charlo's WBC interim middleweight title. Erickson Lubin versus Zakaria Atu, 12 rounds for the WBC junior middleweight eliminator. And Eduardo Ramirez versus Claudio Marrero, 12 rounds for the WBA featherweight eliminator. So there you go. Let's see what else. On Saturday on DAZN, this is a good one. Demetrius Andrade versus Machet Suleski, 12 rounds for Andrade's WBO middleweight title. That's going to be a really solid fight. Joseph Parker on the undercard versus Alex Lapai. 12 rounds heavyweights. Khalid Yafai versus Norberto Jimenez, 12 rounds for Yafai's WBA junior bantam title. That's a good card right there, man. That's a very good card from Rhode Island.
It's pretty cool that the Zone's showing fights on Friday and Saturday now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole weekend is packed with the Zone stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now check this out. So June 29th on Saturday, now it's not televised, but it's in Connecticut. Mashantucket, Connecticut.
That's correct.
Chad Dawson versus Quentin Rankin, 8 rounds light heavyweights. How about Chad Dawson still?
I think there is a way you. Is that going to be on Facebook Watch?
It doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say anything. Okay.
But it would not surprise me.
I thought I heard something. I could be wrong, but I'll double check that. Oh, Chad Dawson's still fighting, huh?
How about that? I tell you what, I like that Andrade Suleski fight. I really like Suleski a lot. I think Andrade wins that fight, no question.
Yeah.
But I think that Suleski makes a fight of it. He's a very good fighter. Very good fighter here. And then you got Jamal Charlo versus Brandon Adams. Charlo should beat Brandon
Correct,
Adams.
yeah.
He should beat him. Erickson Lubin in the comeback fight against Zakaria too. That should be pretty good. Nacho is saying that the Dawson fight is on FightTV.com.
Oh, okay.
All right, so there you go. D-Style, thank you so much, man. He said, Bassi Moreno, short story on my channel, cheap plug. There you go. Check out D-Style Boxing. For those of you looking for more boxing content, go to D-Style Boxing YouTube channel. So there you go. He's always got good stuff on there.
Awesome channel.
Great channel. Yeah, absolutely it is. Let's see here. So, yeah. So, let's talk about the fights tonight here real quick. Like I said, man, I think Charlo beats Cota. I think he's set up to beat Cota. It would have been better if it was Harrison. That's the fight I'm looking forward to, but Harrison might be out a while. He's got an Achilles injury or something like that.
Achilles tendon operation.
Yeah, he's got the same injury Kevin Durant does, so it's going to be at least a year.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Julio Ceja. I don't know what Rigondeaux's got left, so that'll be an interesting fight for me.
Yeah.
Jason Boxing Freak is asking, when is Canelo going to announce his September opponent? I don't know, man. I tell you what, they were going on Friday. They were talking about Friday. I don't think, man, I tell you what, I don't know if Triple G is going to be there, man. D-Style, thank you so much, man. He says, Beeb, turn the camera to the TV for the fight.
That was so frustrating. Him and I were getting people in both of our chats, and people were leaving comments on the video because he did an awesome live cast last night, just like I did. And these motherfuckers were aggravating the shit out of both of us.
What was up with these morons? I mean, like, first of all, you can't turn the camera. That's copyright. You can't do that. You'll get thrown off. So yeah, I mean, like, come on, guys.
Cheap fucking bastards.
Get it together. Get it together here. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's go to the news and rumors here. The WBO makes Alexander Usyk the mandatory for Andy Ruiz. Usyk is now the mandatory for Ruiz without throwing a single punch.
Fucking crazy.
In the heavyweight division.
Bananas.
How crazy is this? I mean, you haven't seen him. He's out on an injury, and now he's the automatic draw for the WBO title shot.
Fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Right? I mean, what in the world is going on there? How is that even possible? Robert, he's your boy. Answer for him.
I can't answer for. You have to answer for an entire fucking organization here.
Whoa!
I mean,
well,
hey, I'm going to say like I said with the WBA being idiots. Remember when we talked about that? This is along the same lines. Look, Alexander Usyk completely dominated the cruiserweight division. He won all 4 belts. He wants to go where the money is. I applaud him for that. But how the hell can an organization like the WBO make him a mandatory challenger for a title when he hasn't even had a fight in his brand new division. Now, I think Alexander Usyk is going to be quite effective in the heavyweight division, but I'm only going on past history with how good a fighter he actually is. But you actually need to step in the ring and prove it. You can't hand him this is like handing Alexander Usyk a lottery ticket when he doesn't even deserve one. You got to earn the privilege to be a mandatory challenger. And I feel bad for Andy Ruiz or Anthony Joshua, whoever wins the rematch, having to deal with garbage like this. This is not, look, this is where boxing politics really fucks up. You know, they make stupid decisions like this when there's other fighters in the heavyweight division who've actually been fighting who deserve to be ranked. The WBA is a fucking idiot.
Oh, come on. Ron.
That could almost apply for all four of the organizations.
Well, here's a question for you. What's going to happen to Dillian White now? Is Eddie Hearn and Dillian White going to complain about that now? Probably not, because Usyk's got to deal with Matchroom. He's
right.
So they're not going to say anything about that, probably, right?
You know what? I'll tell you what. Dillian White, you know what? I'm done hearing his problems.
Me too.
I'm done hearing his problems. I'm done hearing he's your number one and blah, blah, blah. You could have had your shot. You chose not to do it. Instead, you went back to the people that treat you like garbage.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
And they do. Because he could have got him a title shot very easily because, you know, he promotes the title, you know, the heavyweight champion. They're promoted by the same guy. Could have got him a title shot very easily. Chose not to. So you went to, you know, you could have gone to PBC, got a title shot with Wilder within days. You know, chose not to.
ESPN.
So what?
ESPN sat down with him too. Tell me, you sat down with both PBC and both ESPN. You could come up with something.
Right. So this is on you now. This is when do you stop blaming everybody else for your poor career choices?
Good point, Eric.
No, but like I said, I feel bad for I'd feel bad for either Andy Ruiz or Anthony Joshua because in Ruiz's case, he just won the title, and yet you've got an organization. Well, Andy, congratulations, but here's what we're going to do to you. You know, give me a break. Really?
What, you give him a big payday against Usyk?
Tell him, Robbie.
You know, I mean, come on. You know.
No, what? I mean, tell me. What? I mean, so he wins. So he goes out there and beats Joshua, and they put Usyk as his mandatory.
Not a good one.
Well, and you know that as far as I know, they're going to have a rematch. So
I don't know, man. I tell you what. Like, I mean, if he beats, I'm gonna tell you right now, if he beats Joshua again, which I think if they fight, I think he will. He beats Joshua again. What he fulfills his WBO. I mean, yeah. Why you don't think he can beat Usyk? He just caved in Joshua twice.
No, that's
I like that. He just caved in Joshua.
I think
that's a good one.
No, I think he'd be very competitive against Usyk. But how in the world can an organization take it upon themselves? Well, you've never fought at heavyweight, but we're going to give you the ultimate carrot. You know, you're going to be the mandatory.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I have a real problem with that.
I get it, but I don't think it's a bad situation for Ruiz. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad situation for Ruiz.
Well, the only reason why it's a bad situation is this. If Ruiz beats Wilder, right? I mean, not Wilder, so I'm sorry. If he beats Joshua, right? Then he's going to want to fight Wilder next, and if he can't fight Wilder next, they force him to fight Usyk instead. He'll be losing out on a payday.
Yeah, I mean, what's the I mean, that's got to be a big money fight, him and Usyk, right?
Yeah, but
Usyk coming up, that's a big.
Yeah, but I think the Wilder fight would be a bigger fight for Ruiz.
Well, no question. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, if it's between Usyk and Wilder, I mean, goodbye WBO. You know, that's not a big deal.
Exactly.
He doesn't need the belts. He's a guy now that we've seen knock out the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
He knocked him out cold.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the belts. We know he's the guy now.
Yeah.
The only thing he needs belts for is bargaining power. Look, but we know he's the guy.
Right.
Wilder has got the belt.
Yeah.
He's the last one. I don't care who they give they can give the WBO the belt to Usyk. It doesn't make a difference. He's not going to carry any weight with it because Ruiz now has the weight. He's a 3-belt world champion. 4 if you count the IBO, which we don't. You know?
No, we don't.
5, I guess, if you count the ring. I don't know. What are you going to do?
Kept the Snickers title too.
Yeah.
Snickers, that's a nice belt.
That's a good belt.
That's a very nice belt, by the way.
He's a fucking mental case is what he is.
Oh, stop it.
The Snickers title is above the WBO for sure. WBO and IBO, that's for sure. I mean, if he drops that, he could go on any fucking late night show with that Snickers belt and they fucking clap for it. You know, nobody knows the WBO and IBO in the fucking mainstream. Only belt people know is like even Trump and them. They know the WBC. You know, nobody really cares about other belts really. If you think about it, you know, I think he should drop it because I mean, Wilder's with Heyman and Andy's with Heyman, so they've got to do that fight. I mean, I think that fight will sell 1 million pay-per-view. I mean, Mexicans and blacks are going to buy it. White people like me will buy it. So you know, that brings the races together. And always in boxing, Mexicans versus blacks sell the most pay-per-view. It is what it is. I mean, if you see like Porter versus Spence, I don't think it's going to sell more than like 200, 250. Even the Fox will probably promote it a lot. Did you guys see Manny and Thurman on PBC boxing today? Around 1 a.m.,
No.
1 p.m. on Big Fox?
No.
You did? Well, they were all in the studio. It's kind of funny. Thurman was taking shots at Manny. He was like, Manny, did I make you mad, Manny? You ready for retirement, Manny? He was just, Manny looked like he just woke up. He looked bored over there. Did you watch it,
He's
Beeb?
not going to get
you watch the
Manny's head.
PBC
If
show?
Floyd couldn't do it, I mean, nobody's going to do it.
Yeah, and people are saying now that if Manny beats Thurman, he's better than Floyd because of that. Now, I think Floyd beating fucking Canelo at 36 is way better than beating Thurman. I mean, that Canelo that Floyd beat would beat Thurman. I think so.
No.
No what?
What was Canelo?
You don't think that Thurman? You don't think that?
No.
Yeah, but you don't think that Canelo that Floyd beat would beat Thurman though? That's a way better fighter.
Floyd wouldn't fight Thurman. He had a chance. He wouldn't fight him.
Why would he fight Thurman when he fought Manny? He beat Manny. He beat Canelo. I mean, Manny didn't beat Floyd.
I mean,
Manny didn't beat
hear
Canelo.
you.
I mean,
listen,
you know.
I hear what you're saying. But I'm saying he had a chance to fight Thurman. He did not fight Thurman. Manny's
Yeah, but for what? I'm just saying, Thurman's
a dangerous guy.
For what?
Thurman's a dangerous
Yeah, but
guy.
Manny's fighting Thurman because he's fighting. No, I don't think so. How is he dangerous? When was the last time he knocked somebody out? Dude? Come on, tell me. When was that?
You don't have to knock somebody out to be dangerous.
Yeah, but still, when was his last knockout, Robbie? Was it Soto Cross?
Something like that, but even still, I think Manny's going to walk out of the ring with Thurman's belt because I don't think Keith Thurman's going to beat him anyway.
I'm just saying, Canelo, Robbie, isn't the 36-year-old Mayweather when he beat Canelo? Wasn't that more impressive? I think it was. What do you think? It wasn't Canelo a better fighter than Thurman?
Remember, Canelo was like 21 or 22 when he took that fight.
Robbie, how many pro fights did he have, Robbie? How many pro fights did he have at that point? Can you tell me that?
He was 24, Robbie.
Yeah, but look how many. I mean, he was young. He was a young guy.
Fights,
and that's what everybody said.
Yeah, but with 40 pro fights, Eric, let me finish. With 40 pro fights, you're not agreeing with 40 pro fights, dude. I don't care who you are. 40 pro fights, you're going to make excuses for a guy with 40 pro fights. Come on.
I don't think. I don't think.
Is Canelo a better fighter now or then?
He's a better fighter now.
He's been fucking pumping clenbuterol in his fucking ass. I mean, of course he's a better fighter. Motherfucker looks like a bodybuilder now. He used to look like a normal. He used to look like a normal human being back then, like normal. Now his neck is like twice the size, dude. Come on. The guy's fucking pumping clenbuterol like every 2 months. Come on now. That wasn't me. That wasn't me, dude. Come on.
I don't think Floyd Mayweather gets enough credit for that victory over Canelo, to be honest with you.
Because it wasn't worth it.
He did the exact same. He did the exact same thing to Marquez. It doesn't matter if he had 40 fights or 50 fights. Canelo didn't fucking get much better. He just learned a little bit more head movement from Floyd after he got schooled. He watched Floyd tape and learned a little bit more.
Look how many fighters that are 36 and they're like a shell of themselves. For Mayweather to be 36,
exactly.
For Mayweather to be 36 and be able to school a guy like 24 years old that's in his prime. That's impressive to me. Plus, the guy's a lot bigger than him, too.
But I argue that he wasn't in his prime. I argue that he's in his prime.
How are you not in your prime after 40 fights, Eric? Just explain that. 40 fights. You are.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: then. Was Canelo better then than he is now?
Canelo's bigger. He's stronger.
From an experience,
was he better then? Is he a better fighter then than he is now?
Yeah. Well, was Floyd Mayweather a better fighter? Was Floyd Mayweather a better?
He is, right? Hold on, Joe.
Yeah, but
he is, right?
Floyd wasn't in his prime when 36. That's also another fucked up thing. We never talk about Floyd not being in his prime. Everybody else is never in their prime, but Floyd is always in his fucking prime.
Why are we talking about Floyd to begin with?
That's some racist ass bullshit.
What?
No, fuck that. Floyd was 36. He wasn't in his prime, dude. He was 36. Nobody's in their prime at 36.
This is why we can't.
Yeah.
This is why we hate
so
your
black
calls.
black fighters are always in their prime, right? Black fighters are always in their prime.
Yes,
that's the logic
black
here.
Fighters, yes,
he's in his prime at 30. And he's in his prime at 36.
What is that? And everything.
So you call to make this the racist thing every time.
But the Floyd Mayweather.
Bobby was.
But the Floyd Mayweather
Floyd was not in his prime at 36. Shut up, man.
But the Floyd Mayweather that beat Shane Mosley, was he better than the Floyd Mayweather that beat Canelo Alvarez? I would say yes.
Yeah, Floyd was in his prime against Shane. Exactly.
I mean, Floyd was 36.
Floyd was not in his prime at 36.
Shane was way past his prime too.
Good,
by the way.
Well, Shane was about 38 at that time. I think Floyd was like.
No. He wasn't 38. He was 38 when Manny fought him. He was 35 or 36 when Floyd fought him. Manny, right before he fought Floyd, he destroyed Margarito. People don't like to say that either. Before he fought Floyd, one fight before he destroyed Margarito, and people are like, "Oh, Mosley's washed." How is he washed if he destroyed that monster Margarito?
We said he was washed. We said he was past his prime.
All I'm gonna say is Floyd Mayweather has.
Hey, how old was? Beeb, let me ask this: how old was Mosley when Canelo fought him? Yeah, let's talk about that. How old was Mosley when Canelo traded Victor that? 40?
How old was he?
How
old was he?
40 at least 40.
You don't even know.
I don't have my computer in front of me.
Take your facts somewhere else, man.
You don't know either.
All I'm gonna say,
I don't need to know, son. You're the one who brought it up.
All I'm gonna say is this. Floyd Mayweather had the longest prime of any fighter in the history of the sport. The guy.
He's always in his fucking prime.
He's always in his prime, though. Like, everyone talks about how Everyone talks about how he waited until Pacquiao got old. He's older than Pacquiao. How can he wait for Pacquiao to get old?
Fucking morons. That's what I'm saying.
That's one thing.
Aaron does that shit every fucking week if I bring that up. Come on, man.
Because you bring up the same topic.
You can admit you're wrong. Just because you've saying that for 10 years doesn't mean make it right.
That's the point. You can never admit you're wrong.
No, you can never. You're saying a 36-year-old Mayweather's in his prime.
I've admitted I'm wrong on numerous occasions. You can never admit you're wrong.
No, you don't. You barely ever.
Because you're a baby.
A lot of people say that they think that the Diego Corrales fight was Floyd's best win, best performance. I think the Canelo fight was his best performance, in my opinion.
And the Marquez,
best performance.
To me, that was
without question.
To me,
Corrales was. They talked about him being pound for pound number one at the time.
Corrales was a bum to me.
The reason why
he's a bum to you. Come on, son.
Yeah, compared to Canelo's skills, Corrales had nothing. Corrales was like a tall ass guy sitting there like a punching bag. He did nothing the whole fight. What did he do? I mean, come on. At least Canelo tried a little bit.
Joe Lowe in the chat just said it perfectly. Jason acts like a 13-year-old girl when he doesn't get his way.
I mean, Floyd was only like
Floyd, he does, doesn't he?
Floyd was only a minus 200 against Canelo, like a minus 180. The odds were close in that fight.
I mean, nobody's saying Floyd's not a great fighter. I don't know why you're getting all butthurt about it, though.
Who, me or him?
I never said you said that. I never accused you of saying that he's not a great fighter. But let me finish. Beeb, the year before Floyd fought Canelo, everybody was like, is he going to fight Canelo? He just signed this big deal with Showtime. Is he going to duck him and keep fighting bums like Guerrero? Oh, Floyd's taking too long. He's probably going to duck him. As soon as he fucking whoops his ass, that punk-ass Dougie Fisher who picked Canelo to knock Floyd out, he said, oh, Canelo was just green. That guy fucking picked Canelo to KO Floyd. Then after Floyd schools him, he said, oh, he's just too green, man. Come on.
Larry Merchant.
Fucking stooge.
Larry Merchant said the same thing. Larry Merchant said Floyd would never fight Canelo, and he fought him. I just think a guy 36 going on 37. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. He could do that. That's just my opinion.
When did he turn pro? 96? 96? That fight was in 2013. 96? Come on. That's like fucking 20 years after 20 years of being pro. How are you in their prime?
That's not even humanly possible. I mean, he was in great shape, but you're not in your prime. Maybe
when
32, 33, yeah.
When Ali was 36 and Sugar Ray Leonard was 36, they were saying that they were a shell of themselves.
36 was old. Yeah, 36 is old in the boxing world.
Old.
Yeah, a little bit old. 2-3 years old. But I'm also, what was I going to say? I saw an interview with Larry Merchant. Go ahead.
Floyd was 38, and he was still considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world at 38. That's fucking amazing. I mean, that's
pretty good.
That's just my opinion.
He was 38 when he beat Manny, right? He was 38 when he beat Manny, wasn't he? Or 37, 38? Yep. And Manny was 36. Manny was 36, and Floyd was the one ducking him and making him older. Dude, look at that shit. People said Floyd was ready for Manny to get older when Floyd is the one getting fucking even older. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is the kind of hatred that Mayweather had to go through.
Oh,
son, what? You get whenever you get old, you're like, son, like, this is the only retort.
This is the kind of hatred you put my boy through.
Hey, Beeb, remember when
I can't believe it.
Beeb, remember when Larry Merchant said that Floyd should move up to 160 and fight GGG when he was like 38? Larry was like, if Floyd's really great, move up to 160 and fight GGG. Do you remember that, Beeb?
Yeah. Floyd fucked up though. Floyd fucked up because he should have.
He's muted because he's not going to the next topic.
Floyd fucked up,
man. I'm done with the Floyd topic.
Right.
I'm done with Floyd. Floyd's not even fighting anymore.
I can't handle him.
He's got he calls up and he's got nothing to say, so he's talking about Floyd Mayweather. All right, you ready to talk about something else?
You still gonna cry? You got to retort. Come on, man. You got to retort, or you're just gonna cry. Come on.
I already did.
Move to Las Vegas to go to work for him, man. Jesus.
What? We're not allowed to talk fucking boxing on here? What the fuck's your problem? I mean, you're getting owned, so you're crying now? Come on. I mean, just shut up if you don't want to get owned. Just let me talk to Beeb then.
Yeah, I'm getting owned.
Jesus Christ.
Whatever helps you sleep.
But you also picked Paulie. You also picked Paulie to win last night, also, didn't you? You're the
No, actually, I picked Lobov to win that fight. Hey, Beeb, didn't I pick Lobov Wednesday?
Beeb said you picked Paulie. Beeb said you picked Paulie. So I got bad information there, Beeb.
No, I gotta tell you the truth. Originally, he picked Lobov, and then I was kind of talking to him, and I was like, you don't think Paulie's gonna win this? But originally he did pick Lobov. He kind of wavered.
I did pick Paulie on. I did pick Paulie on Friday. But
Paulie's horrible, man. I don't. You guys overrate Paulie. I think Paulie's horrible. I mean,
I totally got it.
Paulie's horrible. Is that what you just said? Right. I'm sure you could fight a lot
better. Paulie's horrible, man.
Yeah, you could do a lot better.
Hey, listen. I was off.
Fighters, dude, not me. Come on, shut up.
I was off.
Just shut your face down.
I was off by a mile. I
was way off. Yeah,
I still have Paulie winning the fight by a point, but even that's a loss to me because I thought he was going to school him.
Yeah.
The only reason he took that fight is because he told Helen they paid him around like $300,000-$400,000. If he wanted to come back and get a boxing fight,
so how can you believe Paulie then? How can you believe Paulie? How can you believe Paulie?
About what?
Eddie Hearn will give out Eddie Hearn will give something out, and you don't believe him. How can you believe Paulie?
If Paulie was going to lie,
Paulie lies all the time. Paulie lies all the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Paulie was going to lie,
he said he didn't get touched in that fight. You can look at his face and say otherwise, right?
If he was going to lie about his purse,
he lies all the time, son.
He'd probably say I'm making $1 million.
He lies all the time.
Shut up, dude. Let me respond.
You're responding. You're responding with nothing though. He lies all the time.
I'm responding. You won't even let me talk. You're like this because you got owned now. Like, is that what's going on,
baby?
Are you on your period, Eric? Come on. You got to be on your period.
You're so butthurt. You're so butthurt about like Floyd and Paulie.
You got owned about Floyd. Me and Beeb owned you, took you to the woodshed about Floyd. Now you're crying. Come on. It happened.
You didn't take anybody to the
woodshed. It happened to me last week.
I don't think you're capable.
It happened to me last week. This week it's your turn.
This week it's your turn.
This week it's your turn.
Don't think you're capable of taking anybody to the woodshed.
This week to your basement, to your flooded basement with all the mold and shit. You fucking pussy.
Yeah, at least I got a basement. What do you got? You live in your parents' basement, so there
you
go.
My basement's bigger than your house. Stop crying, okay?
My basement's bigger than your house. Yeah. Well, send me some pictures. Let's compare.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what he'll do?
Oh my God! You can just come over there.
He'll go on.
He'll take pictures of
Google search big basements.
They're getting dirty.
He'll take a picture of some resort somewhere and send you pictures of it.
Right. Because he's got nothing of his own. He's a big fraud.
Beeb, I put you on video, bro. I put you on video and showed you my house. You're like,
listen.
Beeb was like, oh, that's awesome.
Joe says, get Remy off the phone.
That was a vacation.
Who's Remy?
That was a vacation.
You, son, you're Remy.
That was
You.
That was a vacation
But
resort.
no, but who is Remy?
That wasn't your house. That was a vacation resort.
Beeb, I'm sitting
The
there right now.
vacation resort.
I'm sitting there right now. My
That
pool
was a
sound is
vacation.
going.
Hey,
I mean, you
Beeb,
can hear it.
that was a
in the
vacation
background.
resort he couldn't
Come
go
over.
to.
That was the you took a video off Instagram of a vacation resort of someone else.
Eric, did you fix your
All
basement
right,
flooding
son.
yet?
Tell me if this sounds like a phony hang up. All right. All right. There we go. All right.
Thank God.
Robbie, you okay, Robbie?
I hate that. Oh, God, I hate that guy. He never says anything worthwhile. Awful.
He got owned, son. And now he's going to go in the chat. Eric got owned. Eric, blah, 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 blah. And he goes in the chat.
I don't know why
Trump,
I don't. To be honest, I don't know why everybody likes to hear him. He never brings anything important to the table. He just
Robbie said he's awful. Wow. Cold-blooded, Robbie.
He's awful.
You're cold fish. It's cold-blooded. Can't believe you said
He
that
needs
about
to find
somebody.
something else to do.
You've just retired, Jason.
That's funny.
Let's talk about Sugar Ray Robinson or somebody some more. Let's go back and talk about Floyd Mayweather and Sugar Ray Robinson. Let's talk about
What about John?
talk about Joe Gans for a little while.
What
Why don't we do that?
about Joel?
When you don't have any substance to talk about, you can bring up Floyd. It's like,
What about John L. Sullivan? Let's talk about John L. Sullivan.
And then he's got to pull the racist card. Then he got to pull the racist card because he's getting owned because he can't make a logical argument.
I hate that. I hate that when he does that. Well, we're not a racist show, and he has to bring race into everything he talks about.
Because he's a racist.
Well,
He lives in Georgia.
then
What do
we
you
don't
expect?
need him
He's
on
a
here.
racist.
We don't need him on here.
Wow, Robbie just called his shot. Said, you've been banned, son. It's cold-blooded, Robert. I know you had it in you. It's jacked. All right. As we talked about earlier, Anthony Joshua, and Andy Ruiz, easy for me to say, will rematch in New York City, according to Sky and according to the Independent newspapers in the UK. Nothing has been set yet. Nothing has been done. It is very still in the rumor stages, but Beeb, we strongly believe this will happen, no?
Yeah, I think it's going to be announced pretty soon. I'm excited about it too, to be honest with you. I think it's great that he's going back to New York. I think it's a better fight in New York. I think it's going to get a lot of attention. I think the fight's going to be great, and I think the Zone subscribers will spike. I think this will be a big help to the Zone subscriber base, increasing subscribers. So this is a great move all around. It's a great move all around, and I think it's going to be a good fight this time around too. I'm just curious to see what type of shape he comes into this fight mentally, not per se physically, but mentally.
Physically, he looked great, man.
Yeah, I'm really anticipating this fight.
I am too. I mean, you look at it and you say, what can he do different? But listen, man, they can turn it around. Boxers, they have ways of turning it around. The biggest thing where I learned never to count out anybody in the rematch was Simon Brown. Simon Brown, Terry Norris won.
I remember that.
When they fought in Mexico and Brown just destroyed him in 4 rounds. I mean, knocked him down virtually every round.
That was crazy.
And Terry Norris came back and you're like, there's no way he's getting past Simon Brown.
Took him to school.
Took him completely to school over 12 rounds. Just won every round like handily.
Yeah, I remember both of those fights.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can happen. It can definitely happen, for sure. So, there you go. So, I'll be interested to see what happens to him.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That'll do it here. We're going to get you off here so you guys can go watch the main event over on Fox. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert or give Ringside Robbie's Corner a call at
Area code 773-572-7781, and be sure to leave me a message.
There you go. And you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And on Twitter, I'm at Ringside73. And we will see you next